So, you just bought a PS5 and now you're wondering what games to get. Well, you're in luck. I'm going to show you 10 exclusive PlayStation 5 games you should play first. And even if you already have the console, you still might want to check out this video. There's a few games on here you probably haven't seen yet. Number 10. Deathloop, a first-person shooter developed by Arcane Studios and published by Bethesda Softworks. A timed console exclusive for the PlayStation 5, but an exclusive nonetheless. Oh great, I can already hear it. 6 months from now, people are gonna tell me this is also on the Xbox Series X. Guys, I know, but as of right now, it's a console exclusive on the PS5. You play as an assassin named Colt, who's stuck in a time loop. Your objective is to kill 8 other targets known as Visionaries across an island before midnight. If you fail to kill all the targets before the day ends, then the loop resets and you start from the very beginning. Furthermore, you're only allowed to respawn twice after being killed. If you die a third time, the loop resets. So basically, you gotta restart the level if you die more than twice. It's an interesting concept, which I feel makes for a better movie than a game, really. Like Arcane's previous title, Dishonored, Deathloop has you using a combination of stealth, parkour, guns, powers, and various gadgets to take out enemy targets. The various mechanics work surprisingly well with each other, and the transition from one to the next is smooth and seamless. However, the game might be a little overwhelming at first, especially since so much is thrown at you. Not only that, but you're constantly losing and equipping the same weapons over and over. It's a minor annoyance that's alleviated the more you play, but its live, die, and repeat concept might not be for everyone. However, if you're even remotely interested in first-person shooters, Deathloop is definitely worth a look. Do it quick before it becomes multi-platform. Number 9. Demon's Souls, an action role-playing game developed by Bluepoint Games and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Released as a launch title for PS5 and a remake of the original Demon's Souls on PlayStation 3. If you're looking for a challenge, then Demon's Souls is where it's at. This game is brutal. There's no hand-holding, no tutorial, no nothing. You can unlock shortcuts, which work sort of like checkpoints, but besides that, if you die anywhere during the level, you have to start all the way from the very beginning. That seems like a common theme in games these days. You get one chance to retrieve your lost souls, but if you die before that, then you're pretty much screwed. I think my biggest gripe with the game is that it doesn't tell you anything. There are so many things you need to know that's basically discovered through trial and error. The game can get frustrating, no doubt about it. However, there is something special that happens when everything starts to click. If you're familiar with the original on PlayStation 3, you'll be happy to know this remake has remained relatively untouched. Most gameplay mechanics have carried over, with a few exceptions to hit detection as well as the amount of healing grass you can carry, but for the most part this is exactly as you remember. A lot of the strategies used in the PlayStation 3 version still work here as well. Does anyone remember King Doran? What stands out this time, however, is the updated graphics. Side-by-side comparison shots make the original look like a PS2 game. I mean, talk about a complete makeover. Gorgeous looking special effects give you a taste of what the future holds for PlayStation 5, which you'll probably get to see towards the end of this video. If you don't care much for the new updated graphics, then you should be aware of the new frame rate. Using performance mode, you'll notice the game plays significantly better than it did on the PlayStation 3. This is the type of game that so desperately demands 60 FPS. The slight drop in pixel count isn't even that noticeable. Aesthetic changes to certain characters are debatable, but there's no doubt this is indeed the superior way to play Demon's Souls. Number 8. Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, a third-person action-adventure game developed by Insomniac Games and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. It's a spin-off of Marvel's Spider-Man, and it portrays Miles' struggle as he tries to protect his new home in Harlem from 2 opposing forces. I think if you enjoyed the last Spider-Man title, then you're gonna like this one. And even if you're not into the whole superhero thing, the visuals alone is enough reason to buy this game. To simply put it, Spider-Man Miles Morales looks absolutely outstanding. The previous game looked good, but I think this one looks even better, mainly due to the addition of ray tracing and a smoother frame rate. Another refinement would have to be that it just feels a whole less repetitive. Now, whether it's because of some gameplay tweaks or the fact that it's a much shorter game is up for debate. I personally don't mind the shorter playtime. One thing is certain, I did find the game a lot quicker to get into. There's less emphasis this time on gadgets and more with using your unique powers and abilities. Choosing what mission you want to tackle is as simple as swiping left on the touchpad. The combat is addictive and the puzzles aren't too taxing on the brain. It gives you everything you liked about the last game, just sped up without all the downtime. There's fewer boss battles this time around, but what's there is sublime. The same can be said for the big action set pieces, wonderfully choreographed and completely over the top. The production value is through the roof. You can tell the developers went all out with these sequences. The game also has great haptic feedback support. For those who don't know, there's subtle vibrations on the controller that gives you a better sense of what's happening on screen. Almost like a real-life spider sense when you think about it. You can feel the tracks underneath you as the train is coming to a complete stop, or the crackling sensation of charging and releasing a venom blast. Little touches like these just allow for a more immersive kind of experience. I also love the fact that there's a winter theme to everything. It's the perfect game to play during the holidays while everyone is still on vacation. I'm hoping this spin-off does well, because I would love to see Miles Morales gets his own game alongside each new Spider-Man release in the future. Number 7. Death Stranding Director's Cut. An action game developed by Kojima Productions and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Originally released on PS4 and now remastered on PlayStation 5 with 2 new graphical settings, 3D audio, DualSense controller support, faster loading, as well as a new widescreen mode, which you're looking at right now. So I had a conversation with a friend the other day, and he asked me, what do you actually do in this game? I wasn't sure what to tell him. Normally I'd say it's kind of like that other game, or it's similar to such and such game. But Death Stranding was so different, I couldn't find anything to compare it to. Is it a UPS simulator? I mean, you do deliver packages, but underneath it, it's so much more. It's how you prepare for that delivery and the journey you experience as you make your way to your destination. It's the quiet moments, the unnerving moments, the moments of urgency as you realize your cargo is taking too much damage, the moments of victory as you spot your destination in the distance, the moments of relief when you've made it back to your bed. It is all of these and so much more. It's the whole social strand concept and its incorporation of social elements throughout the game. As you walk from place to place, you'll notice signs left behind by other players. These signs are used as a means of communication throughout the social strand network. For example, if there's danger ahead you should be wary of, or maybe rainfall in a specific area that you need to prepare for, or perhaps knowing where a ladder should be placed. The little traces of life left behind that remind you you're not alone out there. Whether you're walking on solid concrete, grass, rubble, or whatever surface you happen to be on, you have this feeling of being part of something bigger than yourself. There's this giant unknown world out there just waiting to be explored, and all you have to do is just start walking. That goes to show it isn't just all walking. There are times where you'll have to sneak around, fend off against attackers, and avoid BTs by throwing vials of piss at them. I think that's what it is. There isn't one word that can describe this game, unfortunately. It's one of those things you just have to experience for yourself. Number 6. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. An action role-playing game developed and published by Square Enix. It is part 1 of Square's attempt at remaking the original from 1997. Once again, you take control of Cloud Strife, a mercenary who recently joined Avalanche as they try to take down Shinra. If you're a fan of the original, then you'll absolutely love the remake. The game looks amazing, and being able to see everything remade with modern technology makes everything even more nostalgic. Arriving first on PlayStation 4 and now upgraded for next gen with a whole host of improvements. Faster load times, better textures, and various system enhancements have been reworked into the PS5 release. The first thing you'll notice right off the bat is visual clarity. Intergrade looks a hell of a lot sharper on Sony's current gen console. Not only that, but the addition of fog, volumetric lighting, and bloom help elevate the graphics even more. These are all nice visual enhancements, but I think the most important upgrade of all is the 60 FPS performance mode. If you thought the game looked good before, just wait till you see it running at a higher frame rate on the PS5. In addition to the performance boost, Square Enix also incorporated adaptive trigger support for the PS5's DualSense controller. Similar to the original on PlayStation 1, the game still retains role-playing elements. However, the pacing has been sped up a bit thanks in part to its use of real-time combat. Magic spells make a return and they look awesome as ever. Hey, does anyone here remember the summons? Yup, they're here too, and they don't disappoint. I was getting flashbacks of Final Fantasy X for a little bit there. You know, back when Final Fantasy used to be good, there were so many moments I remember from the original, and some that were completely unrecognizable. Some story elements have been extended, some were added, and some even taken out. I especially love the new highway battle sequence. Looks like a scene that was taken straight out of Advent Children. The CGI has come a long way, let me tell you. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade might eventually come over to the Xbox, but for now, it remains a PlayStation 5 console exclusive. Notice how I said console there? Number 5. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. An action-adventure game developed by Sucker Punch Productions and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. You take on the role of Jin Sakai, a samurai who has sworn to protect his homeland during the first Mongol invasion of Japan. Released first on PlayStation 4 and now upgraded for current gen. Bumped up to a full 4K resolution running at a locked 60 FPS, Ghost of Tsushima on PlayStation 5 looks phenomenal. Along with the resolution bump, you can expect a few quality of life changes as well. Loading has now been reduced, so forget about checking your email in between cutscenes. In addition, you now have an option to increase the gust of wind, making it easier to see what direction you have to travel in. Enemy target lock has been added, as well as haptic and adaptive trigger support for the DualSense. And although cutscenes still run at 30 FPS, they are now rendered in real time, along with proper lip sync while using Japanese audio. From the gorgeous visuals right down to the combat system, there isn't one area of the game that doesn't impress. Depending on the enemy type, you have to decide what sword stance to use. One stance might work against one type of enemy, but be weaker against another. It can get a little overwhelming when the screen gets a little crowded, but thanks to smooth controls, switching back and forth between different sword stances is not only challenging, but rewarding. And getting that perfect parry feels so satisfying. I also have to mention the UI. The open world map is clean, uncluttered, and easy to understand. It offers just the right amount of information at exactly the right time. I've heard some people argue that there's not enough things to do or that the open world feels too empty. I think it's perfect for what the game is trying to do. If you want 10,000 things to do, then go play The Witcher 3. Yeah, I went there. Now where's that one prick that always complains about everything? In addition to all the current gen features, you also get the Iki Island expansion all on one disc. This is, without a doubt, the ultimate Ghost of Tsushima experience. Number 4. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection. Alright, so the collection isn't available until the end of the month, January 28 to be exact. But you know what? By the time most people see this video, the game will already be out. The collection will include remastered versions of Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, as well as Uncharted The Lost Legacy. Unfortunately, these remasters will not have online multiplayer. I know, we're all devastated. However, there are new graphical settings to choose from. A fidelity mode, which will run the games at native 4K, targeting 30 FPS. A performance mode, which targets 60 FPS. I'm assuming pixel count will drop to around 1440p when you select this mode. And then there's Performance Plus mode. For the smoothest gameplay experience, you can now play the game at 120 FPS. This, however, will drop the resolution to 1080p, which isn't surprising. In addition to the new graphical modes, you can expect to see faster load times, spatial 3D audio support, as well as haptic and adaptive trigger support. I recently went back and replayed both games, and I have to say, they still kick ass. The gunplay feels great, and the platforming is still as breathtaking as ever. The action set pieces are just jaw-dropping. I mean, how is this game still able to look so good? It was amazing on last-gen hardware, so I can only imagine how it's going to look after the resolution and performance boost. If you have yet to experience these two masterpieces, then hold off for a few more weeks and play them on the PS5. One major gripe about this remaster, however, is that if you already own the games on PlayStation 4, upgrading to the PS5 versions will cost $10. I know, it's a bummer, but hey, you can't win them all. Number 3. Kena Bridge of Spirits. What a surprising little gem this turned out to be. Proof that the best games do not need to be big-budget AAA titles. Kudos to Ember Lab for developing and publishing such an amazing action-adventure game. Bridge of Spirits has you taking on the role of Kena, a young spirit guide with magic abilities who tries to help deceased people move from the physical to the spirit world. The gameplay is reminiscent of classic third-person action games of the past. Think Legend of Zelda and you'll get an idea. The controls are pretty basic. You have your light, heavy, and charge attacks. You can swing your staff or use it as a bow and arrow. In addition, you also get a pulse ability, which acts as a shield and can provide clues within the environment. With a short runtime of about 8 hours, there's a very limited upgrade system, which I'm perfectly okay with. You know, not every game needs to be 100 hours long. The thing that caught my eye immediately was the art style and presentation. Now, here's a fun little fact I think some of my viewers will appreciate. The game's art was created in collaboration with Sparks, a Vietnamese animation studio studio currently based in Ho Chi Minh City. You know, it always warms my heart to know there are Vietnamese people out there who love video games as much as I do. The studio has also been known to work with other publishers in the movie industry as well, which makes sense when you see the game in action. It's very much like watching a Pixar film. I especially love those little rot characters. They're small spirit companions you collect throughout the game that help with completing a puzzle or provide assistance during combat. They remind me of those spiritual creatures from Princess Mononoke. Any Studio Ghibli fans out there? I thought they would be a nuisance since they're always appearing on screen, but it actually works out better than I thought. I also love the animation that plays when you purify the forest of corruption. That wave that rushes through the forest, transforming everything back to normal, is just too amazing. The story isn't going to win any awards, but its charming characters and majestic score makes up for it. If you're nostalgic for some classic action-adventure gaming with a modern next-gen take, look no further than Kena, Bridge of Spirits, an absolute hidden gem. Play it quick before it gets ported over to the Xbox. Number 2. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. A third-person shooter and platforming game developed by Insomniac Games and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Released on June 11, 2021 and developed exclusively for PlayStation 5. It's the 16th installment in the Ratchet & Clank series. Wow, is there really that many? The game takes place right after Ratchet & Clank Into the Nexus. Rift Apart brings back a lot of what you love about the franchise. Fun, addictive gameplay, crazy, outlandish weapons, and beautiful graphics. One of the best, if not the best looking PS5 game to date. If you thought Ratchet & Clank looked great on PlayStation 4, then you haven't seen anything yet. Big, colorful explosions, amazing action set pieces, and bright, beautiful scenery. Gunplay and platforming is similar to past Ratchet games, and that's not a bad thing. Bolt collecting feels satisfying as ever, and the automatic health and weapon upgrades make a welcome return. Weapons and gadgets can also be upgraded manually using Raritanium, just in case you're wondering. I should also mention the boss encounters look insane. I'm like, how am I playing something that looks this good? This, my friend, is what next gen is all about. Past games have gotten to the point of Pixar quality graphics, but I think Rift Apart is where the story and narrative have finally reached the standards set forth by animated movies. It's the kind of game that when you start playing, you're reminded of why you play games in the first place. It's fun, it's colorful, and it will definitely put a smile on your face. You might find something that's just as good on competing hardware, but I doubt you'll find anything better. Number 1. Call of Duty Cold War. Psych! Number 1. Returnal. A third-person roguelike shooter released exclusively for PlayStation 5. Developed by House Marquee and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Fans of Super Stardust HD and Resogun should recognize that name by now. Returnal has you playing as a space pilot who's stranded on an alien planet. Armed with nothing but a spacesuit, you're left to wander the environment looking for high-tech weapons to fight the opposing alien life forms. Each firearm has its own style and unique way of handling. It's exciting when you come across a new weapon and can't wait to see what the second alternative fire looks like. Did I also mention you're stuck in a time loop? Each time you die, you start back at the beginning right after your ship crash lands. I'm not the biggest fan, to be honest, of these type of games because I feel like all my progress is lost upon death. But Returnal is unique in that it's so fast-paced. Sure, there's an interesting story beneath it all, but take that away and you're left with a pure arcade shooter. Once you get the hang of the game, you realize its design isn't very much different from Super Stardust HD or even Resogun. You get in, you get out. It's fast, kinetic, and addictive. The only difference now is that there's a captivating story to go with all the action. Now, because this is a PS5 exclusive, developers have taken full advantage of the system hardware. Advanced haptic feedback support, 3D spatial audio, real-time ray tracing, reduced load times, as well as other visual highlights within the game. Beautiful looking particle effects and destructible objects during intense shootouts make you really appreciate the new technology on display. Some of it is almost hypnotic. A myriad of colors and explosions coupled with a pulsating soundtrack that makes you stare in disbelief. This game does not get enough credit, let me tell you. If Ratchet & Clank isn't your thing, then consider giving Returnal a try. Now, if none of these games interest you, then here's a video of PlayStation 4 games that get next-gen enhancements on PlayStation 5. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.